You all are so busy, you don't even know it. I'm so thrilled to be back here at morning meeting, and I hope each of you ladies will indulge me for a moment as I have a little do-over of my senior speech. Senior year of high school, it's really hard, my hat's off to you, to find a defining moment or defining characteristic in your life or your time here at RPCS. And I was unable to find that one moment that defined my character. Instead, if I remember correctly, my senior speech was about my family vacations in the summer. It certainly was not life-changing. I don't think anyone quite remembers what I said. I didn't make much of an impression, unlike Brianna and Blair. So this morning, I'm excited to try to do over my senior speech. In my senior year, I was mostly just happy to get my senior speech over and done with. But today, 10 years after my graduation, here I am with my true senior speech topic. That one moment that changed me forever was in my senior year, as Kelsey said. It was January 2005, and what I was most concerned with was planning my senior year spring break with all of my girlfriends. We were going to go to Florida. I was also really happy and excited because I had a new boyfriend who, Brianna, you still have some hope. He was 6'4", and I was only 5'1". So he was very cute. I liked him very much. I'd met his parents, and we had said, "I love you." So even though we'd only been together for 3 months, I was sure that this was the one. And that's what I was focused on until one morning in January when I was in the shower and I felt a lump in my left breast. I was not performing breast self-exams because I had no family history of breast cancer. I had never met anyone who'd been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was only 21 years old. I didn't think that it could happen to someone my age. But I was a responsible Roland Park graduate, and so I did the responsible thing. And after finding this lump that scared me quite a bit, I went to see a nurse at a health clinic near my school. This nurse was used to treating girls and boys who had colds and flus and wanted a get-out-of-class free card, right? She was completely unprepared to deal with a breast lump. But I didn't want to tell my parents about it because I didn't want to freak them out and have them like fly up to Boston to be with me. That would have cramped my style. So instead I went to this nurse practitioner who was unprepared. She also felt the lump. So I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. She hoed and hummed a bit, asked me a few questions about my family history. And then she sent me home without a mammogram, without an MRI, without an ultrasound. She did send me home, though, with a Latin word, a fibroadenoma. I had what I thought was a diagnosis. A fibroadenoma is a benign tumor that a lot of girls in their 20s and 30s develop. And so I thought that this was nothing to worry about. This was not cancer. It wasn't until 6 months later, June of 2005, my parents came up for my graduation. I was yellow, and I didn't eat much each day. I would have Starbucks, and that was about it for the day. When I did eat, I would feel really nauseous, really sick to my stomach. And I noticed that for the first time, I was sleeping like 20 hours a day. I, for the first time ever, took a nap in the middle of every day. And my parents commented on my yellow skin. And when I told them, reluctantly, that I had this breast lump that had never been checked out, they did what I thought they would do, and they freaked out. And they made me come home to Baltimore to see their doctor. So I finally, thanks to Mom and Dad, got the attention that I deserved, and I was sent for that mammogram that I hadn't received 6 months earlier. And I'm here before you girls today, not because any of you will develop breast cancer at 21. That does not happen very often, but it does happen. But I'm here before you today because I never heard a story like mine. And if I had heard a story like mine, I think I would have taken my health more seriously, and I would have trusted my judgment. In the pit of my stomach, you know that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, I knew when I felt that lump that something wasn't quite right. I knew that I shouldn't be taking naps in the middle of the day. I knew that I really loved a burger, and the fact that I couldn't eat one, there was something wrong with that, and I should have spoken up sooner. Each of you knows your own body really well, better even than your mom and dad. And so if you notice that something's off, it might just be mono, but just trust your instinct. And when you go to see a doctor, push them. Not a day goes by when I don't wish that I had pushed a little more and asked more questions of that nurse, because now I'm living with the consequences. As Kelsey said, I'm living with stage 4 breast cancer. What does that mean? How many of you here have heard the phrase, early detection saves lives? Yeah, all of you. Well, that's good, because you know the message that I'm sending already. I don't even need to be here. But in order to really understand that, and not just think of it as a phrase that you know very well, you have to understand what it means to live as I do, to live with breast cancer when it is not caught early, when it is caught late. By the time I was diagnosed, I had cancer in my breast. I had a golf ball-sized tumor in my breast. But I also had cancer in my liver. And what that means is by the time the cancer grows so much to take up shop in your liver, there are just billions of cells there. Ask Mr. Brock about that. There are millions of cells that they can never get rid of completely. And so if you do not catch the breast cancer early, like me, you will never be cured. You will never get to leave chemotherapy behind. Most women, when they're diagnosed with breast cancer, have surgery and go through a couple months of chemotherapy or radiation. For me, every single week for the past 7 years, I have gone to chemotherapy. How fabulous is my wig? Right? It's pretty good, I think. I spent a lot of money on it. And I'm going to have to go to chemotherapy every single week for as long as I am alive. I can never leave this cancer behind and get back to normal life because I didn't push. I didn't insist on a mammogram with that nurse, and I wish that I had. Instead, I had to plan my wedding around my chemo treatments. I had surgery, and a week later was trying on wedding dresses. Cancer has touched every single part of my life. The good news is that boyfriend senior year, Alex, the 6'4" one, he's now my husband, so that worked out for the best. He stuck around throughout everything. But chemotherapy is keeping me alive, and that's where each and every one of you come in. I want more time with that cute college boyfriend, husband. I want to have kids, maybe a little girl that I can send to Roland Park. I dream about these special little things that all of you dream about, getting married and having kids. And if I'm going to live out these dreams, I need 80 years worth of drugs. And I need all of you to race and walk or donate $10, whatever you have in time and energy, so that you can help fund more drugs that will keep me alive. A drug will work for a time, the cancer will shrink, and we will throw a huge party. But every single time, the cancer is really smart, and it figures out what we are doing to treat it. It figures out how those chemo drugs work, and it will mutate, and it will find a workaround. Ask Mr. Brock about mutations. And so I can get 3 months, 6 months, or a year out of my chemotherapy drugs. But every single time, the cancer will start growing again. So in the past 7 years, I've been on 20 different drugs. I need a lot of drugs to keep me alive and to keep this cancer at bay. And I can't do it alone. I want to thank Maggie Waxter, Maggie, in pink, cutie Maggie Waxter, and everyone who is racing for a cure this weekend, because you're stepping up to do your part You're stepping up to help me. And knowing that I'm not fighting this disease by myself really gives me a lot of strength and a lot of comfort. I also want to thank Roland Park Country School, because this school transformed me from a young girl who was nervous to give her senior speech into a really strong woman who now travels across the country to speak in front of crowds of 10,000. I'm beating cancer. I am beating cancer every single day just by getting up and getting out of bed. And I wouldn't be able to do that without that fierce passion that I cultivated here in these hallways. You are each learning so much more than just physics, algebra, or American history. You are learning to trust your judgment, and you are each finding a voice. So no matter what happens to you when you put on that white gown and carry those red roses, even if you don't get into the college of your choice or don't become the doctor that you thought you would become, you are still going to be a huge success. So don't worry about it too much. Don't beat yourselves up. Just enjoy your time here, because you are going to be RPCS graduates. And I can't wait to see what each of you accomplish. Because if I can accomplish as much as I have while living with cancer, each of you are capable of setting the world on fire. I certainly never envisioned that I would be going to chemo every week after my college graduation. But that's the hand I've been given. And a lot of your lives are out of your control. So take what you've been given and turn it into some lemonade. I've been on Live with Regis and Kelly. That was awesome. I've stood on the field at Fenway Park. I'm turning this into a really positive thing, and all of you have that power. So thank you for helping me today, and good luck with the future. I can't wait to see what all of you become. Thanks for having me.